And welcome to Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. I am David Boles. Nice to see you. It's Friday, the beginning of a weekend, 9 a.m. Eastern. And I wish you good evening or good day or good morning wherever you happen to be in the world. Lots of interesting things to talk about today. I think this might be our second month of streaming. I keep telling myself I'm going to check on that, and then the stream stops and I forget. Because the second this stream stops, I get everything ready for our video on demand, and then I start planning for the next day's show. It's sort of an all-day event. I'm not complaining, I'm just sharing a process. Janna is now with us later today in the other room, getting ready for her ASL teaching presentation around 10:15, about an hour from now. And she is going to have a wonderful lesson that is sort of a combination of a performance where she is going to perform a song in American Sign Language. And this is a standard holiday song. You're not going to hear any audio, any music, because we don't have any rights to do that. And she says she doesn't really want that anyway. She just wants it to be a visual presentation. And she's going to take that traditional song and add some of her things to it. Take away some things, tell a story, be impulsive. I have not seen the full presentation. It's being hidden from me. Maybe it's a holiday surprise. But I have seen bits and pieces of it. And it's just the cutest thing you've ever seen. I can't think of any other critical way of putting it. It's absolutely darling. And I can't wait. I wish she'd come in here right now and do it, and then do it for the whole show. So if it's popular, maybe she'll do it again and again and again and again, and we just make her perform until she can't perform any longer. Because you're going to see it once, and you're going to want to see it again. And speaking of that, Janna Marie, she's here today, and she is here on Saturdays and Sundays, tomorrow and the next day, at 11 a.m. Eastern, for her new show, where she hosts all by herself. I'm not on screen, I'm moderating. And her show is called Ask a Deaf Person. And it's chat. She'll talk about the news. She'll talk about disability. She'll talk about getting jobs for the disabled. She'll talk about deafness. She'll talk about cochlear implants and hearing aids and injustices and the ADA failures, successes of it. Video streaming, video phones. And if she doesn't know the answer, she'll say, I don't know. And then we'll find the answer. So you can ask her a question in live chat. Or if you don't have a subscription, so you can enter live chat, you can always email her, because she too has a new email address, just as I do. My email address is david@boles.tv. And her new email address is janna@boles.tv. So you can ask her a question right there. You can ask me a question right here. Whatever you want to do, ask a question. Or just show up and chat and ask a question live, because Janna is very good about typing and being inclusive and helping everyone understand what's going on. And yesterday, Janna shared some wonderful video from the subway, and she takes pictures and video of the Oculus in New York City. And our friend Dora, who is a big part of this show, sent me a lovely video that she gave me permission to share with you now. And this was taken, I believe, yesterday at a New York beach. And it's just very beautiful. And we'll take a look at it right now together, because that's what we do. I love the sound of the water, the sound of the wind. And Dora said this was originally 1:50, so almost 2 minutes. And she edited it down to this 23-second masterpiece. And she asked me, she said, does this make me a cinematographer? And the answer is yes. A professional cinematographer and a professional editor. And there she is, the lovely artist Dora. Good morning, Dora. I'm showing this one more time. We should just have it on loop in the background. If I had a green screen, I could just put this up and let it play all day. It's very calming and very beautiful. And I love all the sounds. Our weather here has been just weird. I think Dora said she went for 3 walks yesterday and she has a bad knee. But what are you going to do? It's 60 degrees in the middle of December. You're not going to stay inside. You're going to go to the beach and you're going to take photographs. And you're going to take video of beautiful things that you see. And today's no different. I have the windows open. You're going to hear sirens all show. Because it's 60 degrees in the middle of December. And it's not cold outside. It's a beautiful day. And you would think with this wonderful warm weather that we would be safe from this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff that's exploding all around us all over again. Because of the unvaccinated. This is not a disease of the vaccinated. This is a disease of the unvaccinated and the unwilling. I'm trying to calm down by watching this video because I'm getting upset again. So we have to deal with this. Schools are closing and all the finals are online and the world is burning. And somebody find me a bird I can watch so I can calm down a little bit. Oh, there's a bird. Dora is saving me. 3 birds. It's just beautiful. I would like to land in that water. I wonder if the water's cold. It doesn't appear to be so, but who knows? So that's our Zen moment for the day, and then Dora, later in the day, sent me the reality of the world. Yes, thank you, another beautiful day. I know you were out in the all day yesterday, and my beautiful wife, Janna Marie, I have to play this again because I'm getting upset. My beautiful wife, Janna Marie, all day yesterday, she said, have you gone outside? I said, no, I'm not going outside because the wind is 13 miles per hour out of the southwest. And she said, but it's 60 degrees. I said, the wind is 13 miles per hour. If the wind I have learned over 4 years of living here, in this particular building, that if the wind is above 9 miles per hour in any direction, it's very uncomfortable for me for some reason. I am cat-like, and cats do not like the wind. It violates their beautiful eyes, and they can't see very well. But then magically, at about 3 o'clock yesterday, the wind went down to 8. And I saw that it was 60 degrees, and I said, well, I don't have any excuses left. And my beautiful wife, Jan, is going to text me and ask me again if I've gone out for a walk, and Dora's already on her 5th walk. So I said, I'll just go. And I did, and it was so beautiful. It was the best walk I've had in 2 months, I would say, because the weather was perfect. It was warm. There was no wind. I'm so happy that I was shamed into going for my walk yesterday. And speaking of shaming and the reality, our friend Dora sent me this later in the day. I've cut it down a little bit so we can get an up-close photograph of these people. Who are these people? What are they doing here? Well, Davy, as Uncle Mills used to say, these people, Dora said, are in line for COVID-19 testing. This is not the line to get the shot. And we unfortunately now know that if you got Johnson & Johnson, you bet on the wrong horse. CDC, FDA said, your booster shot, if you got Johnson & Johnson, should not be boosted with Johnson & Johnson. Let it go. Johnson & Johnson, I think that was the death knell for that vaccine. And I have a lot of friends that got Johnson & Johnson because they said it was one shot and done and they don't like needles. So now they have to go get another needle from Moderna or Pfizer. And that's good. That's fine. I'm glad that the CDC and the FDA are being realistic and saying, look, Johnson & Johnson is not fit for being a booster, so take another one. And you wonder, why are all these people ganged up here? There's not really a lot of social distancing going on in that image. I hope everyone's wearing a mask, but probably not because they're outside. But they're all clumped together. And I think they're all clumped together because Christmas is coming. And they want to travel, they want to see their families, and they're trying to be safe, or they're mandated, where they have to get tested. It looks very dramatic and very exhausting. And I thank Dora for sending us that photograph from New York. And then this morning I thought, well, I wonder what's going outside my window. So I, inspired by Dora, took this photograph. Now this is from far away through 2 different windows at an angle looking down from probably 300 yards away. From my window to look down at City MD in Journal Square in Jersey City. And you can always tell the temperature of the rise of COVID by the line outside of City MD. And this, historically, is a pretty long line. I counted like 20 people in that line at 7:30 in the morning, and they don't open until 8. And from experience, I know these people are lining up to get tested, not shots, tested for COVID. Because of their job, because they're traveling, because they're scared, because they don't feel well. Now here's the problem with places like City MD. You don't get tested when you go in. You line up, you go inside, you sign a piece of paper saying, I'm here to be tested. They take your text number. They say, we'll text you when we have an open spot. Okay, that's nice. And then you have 30 minutes, wherever you are in the world, to run back here to City MD, to take your reservation, and get tested. And then in 2, 3, 4, 5 days, you'll get your results back. Now, people say it's usually a couple of days. But the thing is, if you don't live near a City MD, or if you don't have a place to go to hang out for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours until they get to you, it's a little exhausting. I guess you could just sit inside City MD until it was your turn, but I don't think they allow that because of social distancing and the coronavirus. So, in theory, it sounds great. Hey, go in there, sign up. We'll text you. You run back as fast as you can within a half an hour, and then you get tested. Now, I've learned subsequently that there are other places in the neighborhood that do rapid and PCR testing. And I always say if you can, get a PCR test because it's much more reliable. You'll get false positives with the instantaneous tests. And you can sign up with these COVID testing labs and then get your result back like the next day, the next morning. It's very, very fast compared to some places like City MD. But you got to know where to go. You got to talk to people on the street who know. We did. We found out. And it worked out really well. I guess the key to making sure that you're not charged, because some places do try to charge you an administration fee or an injection fee, and they're not allowed to under the law, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try. But the best way is to say, not that you need it for traveling, you say because you have a fever or because you're not feeling well. Then that seems to tick some box somewhere where they never charge you. At least that's what I'm told by people on the street who are required to always get tested. Here's another thing going on in the world that popped up in my inbox that I found just fascinating. Speaking of trolls, here's our troll-in-chief from before, raising money. And this is an official 2021 Trump issue poll. And here are your two choices. Do you identify as an American or as a Democrat? Now, I find that just hateful. It's full of hate, and I shouldn't be surprised because we know who's asking the question. But it's that kind of division that some in the media promote. Oh, the sirens are coming for me again. Life in the big city, where you're only an American if you're a follower of Donald Trump or the GOP. Yeah, Doris says what? Yeah, trying to get money out of me. I don't know why they send me. I think it's press stuff that they send. Do you identify as an American or a Democrat? And they just eat that up. And we talked yesterday about shadow banning. and how I fully support shadow banning and how I love shadow banning. Because trolls like this, you don't have to delete them, you don't have to ban them, you just make it so only they can see their message and not the rest of the world. Or only they and their friends can see their message, and then they're just all talking to each other and no one can see it except them. So that hatred and viciousness and tackiness and tar stays in their silo and not in the rest of the world. And then what are your views? It goes on and on and on. Yesterday we spoke about Biden and how he's messed up the student loan thing. I guess maybe that was 2 days ago. And Biden's in big trouble. I don't understand him. He seems like Obama Part 2, which to me is not a great thing. Because Obama really didn't get anything. He had 2 years, Democrat Senate, Democrat House, really couldn't get anything done. And Biden got a little bit done, but he hasn't lived up to the promises that he made, which I think puts him in deep peril in 2022. And this also landed in my inbox with the title, Adobe, the software company, Adobe Wan Kenobi, which made me laugh. And it made me read this. So humor and PR go hand in hand. The Force, the Star Wars Force, was not with Adobe Incorporated on Thursday, following the software giant's fiscal fourth quarter earnings report Wednesday evening. Weak revenue guidance for fiscal 2022, based in part on the expectation that inflation could weigh on near-term software sales, disappointed Wall Street. Adobe closed down over 10% and has shed some $49.5 billion in market value so far this month alone. Now, I find that fascinating because Adobe, one of the first companies to move to this awful, awful subscription service. You used to be able to buy Dreamweaver and Photoshop and own those titles outright. They belonged to you. That was your software license. Then they said, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to charge you a monthly fee to access all of our software. You have to pay or play. And for some people, that's like $50 a month. In the middle of a pandemic to pay for online software. A subscription fee. And Adobe's demise proved to be a bellwether for a broader tech sell-off with shares of Tesla. Now that's interesting because a lot of people say Tesla, but Elon Musk says Tesla. And people who don't know say, well, I don't know how to pronounce it. And other people who do know say, well, why don't you just follow what Elon says? He's a big fan of Tesla. So I believe it is a Z pronunciation instead of an S. Shares of Tesla, Amazon, Apple closing down 5, 4, 2.5 respectively. Even despite Wednesday's news of the Fed's hawkish expectation to raise interest rates 3 times next year. Now, isn't that great going into an election year? The Fed's going to raise rates, punish everybody. I do not understand what Joe Biden is doing. I don't understand any of it. His BBB, Build Back Better, is now dead. Supposed to be done before Christmas. Big Christmas gift. They can't get that done. Voting rights. They have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save that before the midterms. I don't think it's going to happen either. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense to me. And as much as I hate to say it, Republicans in power get stuff done. They line up and they get it done. And Democrats get in power and they go around in circles. And that's where I think, if you're going to be a Democrat, maybe the progressives have an idea. Maybe Bernie Sanders and AOC are right. And they need to go out there and fight about something. Dora says, oh yeah, I want to buy Photoshop. Is there a comparable cheaper product? Yes, there are lots of products that compare to Photoshop. I'm trying to think of the main one that people really love. I think there are free versions of Photoshop. The best Photoshop's alternative. alternatives. Free, unpaid. Well, here's one that just of this month. Let's see if I can find the one that a lot of people seem to like a lot. Photoshop alternatives. Affinity Photo, I've heard of that. The best overall experience. Now, remember, some of these are posts where they get paid. But you can check it out. A lot of these have free trials. Procreate, highly rated. Never heard of it. Photopea, haven't heard of that either. Rebel, haven't heard of that. Art Rage, haven't heard of that. Krita, haven't heard of that. I guess I'm out of it. I just use Photoshop. I pony up and pay. GIMP. That's the one that traditionally I have always heard that people really, really love. Reasons to buy? It's free. And it's open source. Avoid it. There's a learning curve. It can be laggy. I would try it. Visit the site. GIMP. Boing boing. GIMP.org. Will do. I've heard of Procreate. Didn't know what it was. It sounds good. You should try GIMP, though, too. People really love it for many, many, many years. GIMP has been the #1 alternative to Adobe Photoshop. You're very welcome. So, some are now concerned that the central bank's 3/4 point raise increases over the next year won't be material enough to curb inflation. So now they think we're going into an inflationary period next year. Others optimistically see a Goldilocks situation playing out whereby inflation is tamed, but the economic recovery can continue. With that debate as a backdrop, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 30 points. Welcome to America. And the student loan thing is just ongoing, dismaying. After I did my little piece, there have been a lot of other pieces by people who are saying the exact same thing, that Biden has really messed up the student loan thing. It was a campaign promise. It's very, very, very easy for him to fix. And he doesn't want to fix it. He doesn't care. I understand why. He's owned by the big banks. Okay. So as we get ready to take a little break, I do just want to briefly discuss this Adobe thing, because I have their suite, and they have different levels of suites, and different, you can buy little packages, and if you're a teacher, you can get a big discount. If you're a publisher, you can get a discount. But if you're just a regular person sitting at home who learned on Photoshop and who uses Dreamweaver or Audition to record your podcast, you become reliant on that software. And then the economy changes and you're kind of out on your ear, and you wonder how you're going to pay for a subscription that never ends. You can never get away once you're in, because it's part of your ecosystem. But it does seem a little bit ridiculous. You think they could charge, $19 for a basic suite instead of like $50. But I guess that isn't the plan that they want to sustain. They just want more money, keep the price high, and see what happens. And on that note, we're taking a brief blood pressure break. Back with more in just a moment. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. You're on Boles TV, BOLES.TV. On the break, I was peeking into the ASL rehearsal studio and saw Janna Marie there practicing her beautiful, cute song, and she stopped when she saw me. I guess it's going to be a surprise for me as well. And I said, "Hey, you're not chatting today." She said, "No, I'm performing." Okay. So I said, "Well, excuse me." Now, do you remember where that came from? Excuse me. If you're over 50, you might know. If you're under 50, you probably have no clue. That was the big catch saying in the late 70s, I guess. Steve Martin, wild and crazy guy, was his stand-up routine. Not really my sense of humor, but I do take the cultural touchstone of excuse me. He and Robin Williams kind of have the same kind of wacky stand-up comedy routines when they started out. Neither really my taste, but I understand, I guess, their popularity. So back into it. Yesterday we had our good discussion about censorship and free speech and how all of that gets usurped by the government agenda, lately a conservative government agenda, to cut things off and to take away rights. And here's the perfect example, the perfect follow-up to that conversation from yesterday. Because I said, look, what Texas is doing is basically outlawing abortion. They go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court lets it stand with winks towards Roe v. Wade. And other states are going to follow, and more winking will go on until, Roe v. Wade is still there, but it's meaningless. It's an empty shell, which is the point of everything that they're trying to do. So yesterday, again, this Joe Biden steps forward, ended a long-standing restriction on a medication used to terminate early-stage pregnancies. Plan B, I think is what they call it. Even as politicians across the United States intensified efforts that represent the most serious challenge to abortion rights in decades. The elimination of the regulation, which had been temporarily suspended, means abortion pills can be prescribed through telehealth consultations and mailed to patients. And that's always been the saving grace of the pro-choice supporters. It doesn't matter what they do in the South. It doesn't matter what laws they pass in Texas, because we're going to find a way to get these women these abortion pills, these day-after pills, and they'll maintain control of their own bodies. And if we can't mail it to them in Texas, we'll mail it to their friend in New York, and their friend will mail it to them. Without realizing that right now, 19 states have outlawed the day-after pill. This is not a federal mandate. This is just a relaxation of the rules. So in almost half the states in the United States, you can't have a day-after pill. And that's what they want. That's how this goes. That's how government, censorship, local, state, community works. They decide what they want to do. But in large swaths of the nation, strict sales rules will dampen the impact. Several states ban sending that drug by mail, 19 of them, and impose other restrictions on use of the pill. The medication, approved by the FDA in 2000 for what's known as a medication abortion, is used with another drug, and long-standing FDA rules required patients to pick up the drug in person at a hospital, clinic, or medical office. There is no FDA requirement that the medication, also known as RU486, which is just, who named it that? RU486. 86 means kill. RU4, do you support killing? Why would you name bad branding. Plan B is a better brand name than 486. RU486. To be taken in a clinical setting, and most patients take it at home. In April, FDA acting commissioner announced the agency was waiving the in-person dispensing rule during the pandemic, saying research showed the action did not raise serious safety concerns. The change has allowed patients to consult healthcare providers remotely and receive the drug by mail from their providers or a mail-order pharmacy where permitted by state law. Great idea. Makes a great headline if you don't read the whole story. But the problem is these 19 states don't permit it by law. So what good does it do? You're already serving people in the states where they don't have a problem making a choice about a pregnancy. And that's what happens today in the mass media. We get fed these stories. Oh my goodness, isn't that wonderful, interesting news? Well, not really. But this is very interesting news. This is how you fight back. This is how, as a Democrat, you fight back against the GOP, against Republicans, by using their own viciousness against them. That is very smart. And the GOP went after Governor Gavin Newsom in a big way, recalled him, and he smashed them in the recall vote, getting more votes, a higher percentage, in his recall election than he had in his original election, confirming that Californians want him. So is Gavin Newsom a presidential candidate? Hello, thank you for the follow. Count Chicken 89. And the answer is yes, Gavin Newsom would make an excellent presidential candidate. What did he do? Here's what he did. California Governor Gavin Newsom pledged to empower private citizens to enforce a ban on the manufacture and sale of assault weapons in the state of California. Citing the same authority claimed by conservative lawmakers in Texas to outlaw most abortions there after only around 6 weeks of pregnancy. Very smart. This is how you punch a bully back in the nose. You take his fist and make him punch himself. We will work to create the ability for private citizens in California to sue anyone who manufactures, distributes, or sells an assault weapon or a ghost gun kit or parts in California, the governor's office said in a statement on Sunday. For 3 decades, California has banned the manufacture and sale of various assault-style weapons. However, in June, a federal judge overturned that ban, much to the ire of Democrats and gun control activists, saying, like the Swiss Army knife, the popular AR-15 rifle is a perfect combination for both home defense and homeland defense equipment. Good for both home and battle. California's ban remains in place while the state appealed. So that's very smart. So the conservatives are going after women in Texas and the right to control their bodies, and the Supreme Court says okay. Well, California is going to use the same thing. But not about abortion, not about choice, but about guns. About killing people. Not killing babies, killing people. And how can you stop it? If you allow that to go on in Texas, you have to allow Gavin Newsom to do his thing in California. You can't say that one is more important than the other. Very exciting. We'll see what happens next in the great state. Now this gave me pause to laugh just a little bit. Perhaps even inappropriately. But we know there's a lot going on with COVID-19. The anti-vax people are searching for anything they can do to not take the vaccine. They'll eat dirt. They'll take ivermectin, bleach, sunlight. And somebody decided, well, you know, green tea is the cure for everything, right? If you're a big green tea drinker, oh boy. Green tea cures this. Green tea helps you lose weight. Green tea is great for your face. If your eyes are puffy, put a green tea bag on your eyes. Cool, not hot. Green tea, green tea. So these scientists said, well, what if green tea? Hello, thank you for the follow, open bubbles. What if green tea could prevent COVID? Now that sounds really silly and ridiculous, but if you're a green tea advocate, as I am, it's a very interesting thought. Artist Dora drinks green tea and apple cider vinegar. Oh, me too. The apple cider vinegar is really great for your blood sugar, and it defeats bugs trying to bite you because it makes your skin and your blood acidic slightly, and the mosquitoes especially do not want to bite you because your blood tastes bad. So that's wonderful. Apple cider vinegar, yes. And I drink green tea all the time too. I have a little bit of coffee in the morning because the caffeine in the coffee is, I guess, good for your heart. It pushes out bad acids and puts in good acids. But the rest of the day, I drink my green tea. So these university people said, hey, why don't we find out? No one's talking about it, but what if green tea in some way could help us cure this COVID thing? Okay, so they did. Two Harrisburg University of Science and Technology alumni and a professor examined the evidence that exists regarding the therapeutic efficacy of green tea extracts as an anti-infective, okay? Anti-COVID infective. Study results indicated, this has not been released yet, this is a precursor to the release of the study. The study results indicate that currently there is no conclusive evidence that green tea extract is appropriate to treat any infectious disease, including COVID-19. There were documented instances that show green tea extracts having some side effects, and interactions at high doses will select prescription medications. Based on this, it's best to enjoy green tea as a beverage rather than use it as a medicine. Now, I really, really love that study because, as we've discussed in the past, scientists think one thing, and sometimes it's proven that it's another. Yesterday we talked about touching the sun for the first time, touching the eye of God as human beings through our satellite. We thought the atmosphere around the sun was going to be fuzzy, and instead we were corrected, and it is sharp and wrinkled. Now that's beautiful. You have one idea, and the facts, the truth, proves you wrong, and now you accept that because you're an open person, and you're an intellectual, and you're a scientist, and say, well, we thought this way, but now we know this. And in these health studies and scientific studies, we only usually find out what happened when the bias is confirmed. This is what we thought, and oh my gosh, we were right, and that gets published. We don't get enough of, we thought this, and it turned out to be that. So we were wrong. Everything we thought was proven incorrect. Well, that's just as valuable as knowing what works. You need to know what doesn't work and put it out there and publish it. And that's what happened in this green tea extract story. It is being published, and here is the official page for the publication. Now you try to click on this to read the full text. It'll say it's not available yet, it's not published yet, but it's coming. And here is the official phrasing of the results. about green tea and COVID-19. While there are preliminary data indicating potentially adventitious properties of green tea extracts, GTC, there is a paucity of large-scale prospective clinical trial data to support the use of GTCs in therapeutic capacity to treat these disease processes. There are documented instances of GTCs interacting with medications, which is bad, indicated to treat neoplastic diseases. Conclusions. Currently, it appears that the therapeutic benefit of using green tea to fight viruses is outweighed by the potential risks. So green tea is wonderful, but it's not the end-all. Green tea is not going to save us from COVID, or even the common cold. But it can help you lose weight. That we know. I would drink the tea and not concentrate on the extracts. Now, as you know, we, at times, play some not Bobby Fischer chess. We're not playing it now. But we are interested in chess. We, meaning me, been away from the board for about 44 years, coming back. I thought it'd take me about 3 months to get back in shape. And the world of chess has changed because it's all online and it's all computers now, and there's really no way to be in shape, ready to go after 3 months. I'm thinking now it's going to be like a year before I can really play up to what I believe is my potential. Because every time I play now, I lose just terribly. In practice and in computers. I know I'm supposed to be playing people. But I'm not ready yet to play people because I'm not good enough. So this is a wonderful map that somebody created that is related to chess. And it's simply titled Birthplaces of the Top 100 Rated Chess Players Born After January 1st, 1990. Now, isn't that terrific? And very surprising. Let's look at some of these. There's the United States. California has 3. Texas has 1, Jeffrey Zhang. Florida has 1. I believe that's Fabiana Caruana. And then you look at the rest of the world. Eastern Europe, smash. Look at all that. Oh my. Smart people everywhere. And these are young kids now, since 1990. Africa not doing so well. But I believe that's going to change in the next 10 years. It's starting to explode chess as a game in Africa. But how are you going to beat these Eastern Europeans? They're just everywhere and they're so freaking smart. And so this guy is out here on the island of Guam. I can't remember his name, but the people who are into chess said that's him in the middle of the ocean. Guam. So it really gives you an appreciation of what's happening right now in chess, the new people. And this is where they're born. Now, some of them move, they play for different countries. They're born into an oppressive state and they move and they want to play for France or the United States. So this is specifically on birthplace, which is a very interesting way of calculating time and ability. And then I also received this in the mail yesterday, which just pleased me to no end. It's a chess thing. A little invitation on what happens to be my birthday, which I just noticed this morning. I didn't notice it yesterday. But St. Louis is a big hub for chess. A lot of tournaments are played there. They have a wonderful chess club. The Sinkfield Cup is originated there. Sinkfield, I believe, owns the building that the St. Louis Chess Club is part of. And you get a complimentary valet in St. Louis, 5 to 8 p.m. Central Time. You have to RSVP. World Chess. Mind Art Experience. 10 years of chess and culture in St. Louis. That's just fabulous. Celebrates the best of chess, art, and culture from all 50 exhibitions held at the World Chess Hall of Fame since its 2011 relocation to St. Louis, Missouri. The 3-floor show features more than 120 artworks and artifacts, including pieces related to legendary world champions Bobby Fischer, woohoo, Anatoly Karpov, Garry Kasparov, and Boris Spassky. Works by renowned photojournalist Harry Benson, CBE and internationally acclaimed artists M.C. Escher, Tom Friedman, Barbara Kruger, and Yoko Ono. Who knew there was a Beatles connection to world chess? Miss Yoko Ono. Chess-inspired pieces by St. Louis-based creatives Michael Drummond, Peter Mannion, and Audra Danielle Noyes. And loans from notable collectors and institutions including John Krumiller, Dr. George and Vivian Dean, Mildred Lane Kemper Museum, the Logan Augustine Gallery, and the David Zwermer Gallery. So it's a wonderful thing that St. Louis is doing by inviting people to come and take part in the history of world chess. I would be happy to go if I lived closer and we didn't have a worldwide pandemic. And speaking of pandemics, I really love this news as well. Harvard University, that most people say is the premier university in the United States. They have the most money, let's put it that way. Harvard University will extend for 4 years a policy begun soon after coronavirus pandemic emerged that allows aspiring students to apply to become students at Harvard without SAT or ACT scores, ACT scores. A landmark development for a fast-spreading movement that aims to limit the role of standardized exams in college admissions. And to that I say woohoo. I've never understood the value of these standardized exams. And I wrote a play on it about a guy who kind of gave up his life by failing the genius test, the gifted test, as a child in school. The Weeping Water Cafe, starring Jim Hanna and Devin Schumacher. And we're going to show it one day right here on this live stream. And the problem I have with standardized tests is they test memorization. They really don't test genius or inspiration. And that's by design. They don't care. People need to categorize people. And a lot of these tests are culturally unfair. The Mensa test, the gifted test, the IQ test, the SAT, the ACT, they're all designed to separate people, not bring people together. You're smarter than that person. You're dumber than him. She's smarter than you. You can't go to Harvard because you're too dumb. You can go to Harvard because you studied a lot, you paid for tutors, and you got a good score. You're not a good person, but you got a good score on the ACT, so you can go. I've never understood it. And they say, oh, we need the brightest and smartest people. And my argument is, the brightest and smartest people who get great scores on the SAT and ACT tests are incredible people in real life. They have accomplishments. They've done things. They're involved. This is just another little thing for them to check off in their life. So if instead you don't rely on data and numbers, and you find a way to look at the person, you're going to realize that that genius SAT test taker is just as genius in person as they are on paper. But that's extra time, that's money. Who wants to do that, right? Coming from one of the biggest names in higher education, the Extension announced Thursday evening likely presages similar actions elsewhere to lengthen or solidify test-optional admission policies, yes, that arose amid the public health crisis. The movement nationally, with most highly ranked schools on board, at least temporarily since spring and summer of 2020, appears to be a tipping point, even as the debate rages about the value of the tests. And I'll tell you, getting grades A, B, C, I find them meaningless now. Everything should be pass, no pass. And if you think about it, testing kids once they're in school, giving them a C grade, they're outraged. I can't keep my scholarship with a C. Now, C is supposed to be well done work. C is supposed to be the average. And nobody wants to be average. Everybody wants an A. A B is not good enough. An A minus is an insult. If they don't get an A, there are students who are going to complain. And they're going to make trouble. And faculty, especially permanent faculty, don't want to deal with it. They have other things to do. They're just there for the paycheck, really. So they just give everybody an A. That's called grade inflation. And it doesn't help the student, and it doesn't help the teacher, where everybody in the class gets an A. Now, when I went to graduate school at Columbia, it was a 3-year program. Now you can get an MFA in a year. But it was 2 years of study and a year of internship that was paid for by the school. We were graded pass, no pass. Not pass, fail, pass, no pass. In every class. And I found that odd. Because while I wasn't a great student, I did like to get A's in courses that were important to me. And it was explained to me this way, which I found very interesting. That the Columbia University School of the Arts, Oscar Hammerstein's Second Center for Theater Studies, discovered that when they would hire adjunct faculty, mainly from Eastern Europe, these faculty members were very stodgy, very specific, and anarchical, which we talked about yesterday. And they had very specific ideas of what good theater should be and how you should behave as a student of the theater. You should do this, not that. And if you didn't do it their way, or if you didn't perform as they thought you should perform, they would give you an F. And the students would complain and say, look, I did all the work, he just doesn't like my style. We have different tastes in what theater should be, so why is my grade being canned because of his inability to see another side? And I guess this went on for quite a while, and finally the program said, look, this is not working. Our students are very angry with us. The faculty are angry with us because we're giving them a hard time about grading. So why don't we just do it this way? Pass, no pass. If you go to class, if you do the work, you pass the class. If you don't show up, you don't do the work, then you don't pass the class. So it takes the aesthetic taste requirement out of the equation, where teachers don't have to say, well, I don't like what you're doing. I disagree with that. I mean, there are two ways of getting around a horse. You can go up, over, or under. And some people only want you to do it their way. And if you don't do it their way, a lot of directors are that way. My way or the highway. Don't do it my way. Then you're done. You're fired. F. So when that was explained to me, I thought, well, that's actually a very genius idea, because that encourages people to have conversations and not worry about getting in trouble or saying the wrong thing, and having a teacher, which some teachers do, take out their rage on you and give you a low grade just to punish you. It's pass, no pass. And if there were teachers who tried to give you a no pass, you could go to the department and say, look, I went to every class, I did all the work, this teacher just doesn't like me, gave me a no pass. And the grade would get changed. That never happened to me, but I know a couple of people it did happen to. And they were rightly reinstated. They got the pass. So I think that's great. I think that helps things now. Technologists, technocrats, computer people, science people, STEM people, doctors, they don't like that. They want data. They don't want any emotion. They want to see the numbers. They want bell curves. They want averages. Well, that's good for them. But in the theater, where you need free thinkers, pass, no pass is better. There is a profound shift underway in how competitive colleges and universities from coast to coast sort through applications and choose an incoming class. The admission tests have not vanished, and perfect scores on the ACT of 36 and 1600 on the SAT retain their power and allure. I had a good friend who got a 1600 on the SAT. He had to retake it because they didn't believe him. He got the same score. Went to Stanford. Now teaches Cal Irvine. Very, very genius guy. But test scores are no longer an automatic data point in application files at most prominent schools, a major departure from the situation less than 2 years ago. Hallelujah! That's the future of higher education. Be a good, smart person with kindness, and we will welcome you and we will give you your money. We're not going to worry about if you're a good test taker or not. And on that wild idea, we're going to take a brief break. Janna Marie, coming up soon. Stand by on Boles.tv. we are back on Boles.tv, BOLES.tv, in case you're watching with captions on. I'm David Boles. Janna Marie's getting ready to perform. She's putting the final touches on her song she's going to share with you, and I will tell you again, it's very darling. I hope she will have a sing-along. I don't know if it's possible. I've asked, but I've told it's a surprise. I'm not allowed to say. There's Ellie! Oh my goodness. Good morning, Ellie. It's so wonderful to have you here. Ellie is a star student, and we're so happy to have her here with us today. A star student of Janna Marie's. And on that topic of disability in performance, really disturbing news came out yesterday that is actually the perfect introduction to what's about to happen with the beautiful Janna Marie Sweetheart. And I'm just going to use this as an introduction. Meredith Wilson, in, I believe, 1957, wrote The Music Man. There's Ellie again. Thank you. So grateful to be here. We're so happy to have you here, Ellie. You're a star student. You're a wonderful person. And you are a great addition to chat when you're able to be here. And I know you're very busy and very smart. So The Music Man, I believe, was written in 1957. It has been performed probably, I would say conservatively, 10,000 times in community theaters and theaters all across the world, especially in the United States. And Meredith Wilson was a super, super duper genius. He was on talk shows and chat shows, and he knew how to write a melody, and he knew how to write a show. And he was born in Iowa. Wonderful guy. His show, Music Man, came out at the same time as West Side Story hit the Broadway stage. Can you imagine having both of those hit shows in the same year, the same season? And then, as time and tide goes on, we find out this came out yesterday. As Broadway prepares to welcome a revival of Meredith Wilson's The Music Man, starring Hollywood's super-duper star, Wolverine Hugh Jackman, later this month, newly discovered drafts have revealed that Meredith Wilson faced a 3-year struggle to write the show about Jim Paru, a young boy in a wheelchair who was driven out of several towns in Midwest America and cruelly taunted because of his inability to speak or walk. That's what The Music Man was about originally. That was Meredith Wilson's genius idea in 1957. Until just 10 months before the musical opened on Broadway for the first time in 1957, the cornerstone of the plot of The Music Man was going to portray how the titular music man, Harold Hill, challenged the community's bigotry and integrated Jim into a newly formed boys band. However, the plot was seen as too proactive for Broadway in the 1950s, a genre that promoted athletic bodies performing complex dance moves, as both friends and people involved in the show's production put pressure on Wilson to drop the idea, even though they acknowledged it was worthy. Meredith Wilson strongly believed that the stigmatization of young people with disabilities was a major problem in society that needed to be challenged, and he saw this as something he could do through the medium of the Broadway musical. His idea to put a young disabled boy as the main character in The Music Man was provocative. Broadway writers of the mid-20th century had tried to turn their attention to important social themes of the day, but ableism had not been tackled like that before. What I've discovered from the drafts, as well as materials from Wilson's life, is that this was just too much for Broadway in the 1950s. Broadway's emphasis on spectacle, and we talked about that before, Aristotle's Poetics, plot, character, thought, diction, music, spectacle. Spectacle is the last part of the process. It's not a pyramid. Broadway's emphasis on spectacle and normativity meant that Wilson was pressured into changing the show's plot into what we know it today, erasing what could have been a much-loved, famous, disabled Broadway character. Dora, such a great story, and what a wonderful person he was. Meredith Wilson was just a terrific guy, very talented. And he tried to do the right thing. And you know who told him he couldn't do it? The producers. They said, we can't sell a ticket about disabled people. What's wrong? No one wants to see that. And there was Meredith Wilson's earliest show. He didn't have a hit. If he had written a hit show before and he had the muscle in the industry to say, we're doing it this way, it would have been fine. But they scared him off. And in the end, it didn't happen. And in some ways, it damns the producers, and in some ways, it damns Meredith Wilson as well. Because he did not stand up for what he knew was right. He did not stand up for the story he wanted to tell. He let other people take control of his artistic vision. And can you imagine how Broadway, how the world would be different if for the last 60 years we had 10,000 performances of a young disabled boy named Jim Paru in The Music Man as the center and the star of the show? How would history have been changed? The revival of Oklahoma we had a couple of years ago where, oh my gosh, Laurie's in a wheelchair, can you imagine? Now that was pasted and put into the show by the director and the creative team that did that revival. That wasn't originally a part of Oklahoma, they made it a part of Oklahoma. They forced in the disability. Whereas Meredith Wilson 60 years ago had it part of his show. You don't have to write it in, you don't have to make it about disability, it was there, it was on the page. The Miracle Worker, Helen Keller story. Can you imagine if we had a deaf-blind performer in that role? No. We have to have stars. They have to be hearing. And The Miracle Worker isn't even about Helen Keller. It's not her story. Whose story is it? Anne Sullivan's story. How do we know? The title of the play. The Miracle Worker is not Helen Keller. The Miracle Worker is Anne Sullivan. So you read this and you wonder just what might have been. And the only person who could have made this happen was Meredith Wilson. When Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky, for 2 years, people wanted to buy and make that movie. And Sylvester Stallone said, that's fine, but I want to play Rocky. And they said, oh, God, you can't play Rocky. You're ugly. You have an accent. You're not playing Rocky. And Sylvester Stallone said, fine, you're not making my movie. So like him or not, Sylvester Stallone stood up for what he believed in, which just happened to be himself, whereas Meredith Wilson did not stand up for what he believed in. He let money and pressure change forever the history and the future of the American Broadway musical. And on that light note, we're going to take a brief break as we get all set up for the beautiful and talented Janna Marie Sweetheart, who's going to be here teaching and performing with you in just a moment. Stand by. And we're back. Not really a break, but we're back from the wonderful performance. We got a lot of hugging and kissing in between. That was fun, right? Now, she's been talking for about 2 weeks. She's been saying, Janna Marie has been saying, I want to sing a song. And I want to take a traditional song and flip it around and make it ASL, but make it my own impulsive performance. And that's what she did. And she was very successful. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I'm so glad you were here to share that moment with her. And for the past week, she's been practicing and practicing and practicing. And she said, well, should I do it on? Maybe I should do it on my show on the weekends. My talk show. And I thought, Fridays is ASL teaching. The weekends is chatting. So it could be part of this show. And she said, okay. Oh boy, that was lucky. So there might be more performances coming. I don't know. Maybe you'll have to make a special request. And you can speak directly to her via email, janna@boles.tv. That's how you can reach her. You can also reach her here in chat. Oh, there's Ellie. Thank you so much. I definitely agree with Dora. Dora in New York. I heard it through my eyes. So special. I have never experienced deaf music before. I learned a bunch of signs today, too. That's good. That's very good. See, Ellie's a wonderful student. She catches. Earlier this week, we talked about throwing and catching. And teachers throw things out there, and they have no idea if it gets caught by a student or not. And then you get a reaction like that from Ellie, and you think, okay, Ellie gets it. Ellie caught it. Success in teaching. And we made Janna made a very definite decision that she did not want any music being heard in the performance. Normally you would perform something like that with the song or perform it as part of the song, but my consideration is when you play music, as you know, if you listen to this stream, you get hit with DMCA right, takedowns and lyrics and things that belong to other people. You have to be very careful with it. So I was thrilled where she said, I just want to perform this. She doesn't like the word silent. Perform this in ASL. I don't need any background music or music to sing to. I'll just sing it myself. And I thought that was a great decision. Dora says that was very good. It was very good. And the only little part that I saw that she would let me see was right before we went to bed last night. I said, you know, very effective. Now see, Dora's... I'm not saying she's paying attention. That's the wrong word. Dora is catching. Because we talked about that in the live stream too. Where students of theater, making critical remarks, like to say, I liked it, I didn't like it. That was good, wasn't good. And that kind of feedback doesn't really help people. So I always try to teach my students and my friends like Dora that if you say something is effective or not effective, that opens up a conversation. It's not as personal, it's not as an emotional reaction. Oh, we didn't like it. Well, it was effective because, it always leads to a because. You know, it wasn't effective because, and then you get a reason. And people tend to not be as insulted in a performance, after a performance, if you use effective, not effective. Less emotional. So yay for Dora. A+. You've passed the course. So she wouldn't show me any part of this song because she wanted to be a little surprise for me too. But last night, you know, we're getting ready. The show is today. Opening night is 10:15. What are you going to do? So in the dark, watching Law & Order in bed, under the covers, she just started singing that little part where she picks up the dog and pets. Oh my gosh, like 20 seconds. I thought, oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I could watch that for 2 hours. Her picking up a dog and petting it in the rhythm of her music. So that was a wonderful experience. For me as well. I had no idea what we were going to get. I knew we were going to get something good, but I didn't know it was going to be that fantastic. And now I want to go drag her back and say, well, let's have a sing-along. We'll all sing this song together. Maybe tomorrow. You can ask her questions all tomorrow about what's going on with that song, if you like. Or you can just show up and she has things to talk about, disability things, sign language things, deaf-blind things. A lot of interesting topics to discuss. Maybe she'll even comment on the Meredith Wilson story. I don't know. Well, it's been a very lively show. I think this is the conclusion of 2 months of broadcasting this live stream on Boles.tv. And I thank you so much for being with us every day. Such a great song. Yeah, I don't even know which song this is. I think she edited she has like 3 favorite Christmas songs. A carol song, or some version of Jingle Bells, and Winter Wonderland something, and I think she took ideas from all 3 of them and took them and put them into a pot, the big stew of Janna Marie, and mixed them all around and made her own song with binoculars. It was a combination, yes, Dora, and it worked very well. And I'll be editing that, just so you know, into a little Janna Marie performance piece. A highlight is what they call it on Twitch, that you can rewatch over and over. And if you're subscribed, you can watch it. And if you're not subscribed, you can't watch it. So it's easy to subscribe to this channel. Just click the subscribe button, and you'll have access to all of our video on demand library. And you can watch the live stream without commercials. And you can participate in our lovely chat with Ellie and Dora. And we have several deaf friends who I hoped would be here today, but I don't believe they made it today. But they say they're coming tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for Janna Marie's Ask a Deaf Person show. We'll see if they show up. If they do, they'll say something, because they always do in chat. And then again on Sunday, 11 a.m. right here. Maybe we'll have an encore of the song. I don't know. But she might say, just watch it on video on demand, which is okay too. So if you have any questions about this live stream, you can email me, David, at Boles.tv. You can always ask a question here in chat. If you have any video or images to share, as Dora did this morning, find me on Twitter at David Boles. You can email it to me, David@Boles.tv, Facebook, BOLES, Boles, Instagram, Boles Books. And so this is the end of a very productive week. Lots of interesting stories for next week, I hope. If you have any topics of concern, or something that interests you, or something you want more information about, let me know, and we'll find a way to talk about it. Ellie says thank you so much again. See you all next stream. Ellie, you're just the best. You stand up for what you believe in. You do the right thing. You will not be denied. You would like to have an answer to your questions. And you're persistent, Ellie, without being negative or derogatory, which is a real gift. You'll be very successful in whatever you do, because you're very convincing and you're very, very kind and smart. There's Dora. Love the thumbs up from Dora. And thank you so much for calming me down, Dora, with your beautiful beach video today, as I got all wound up again over coronavirus and Omicron that's crawling toward all of us. But if you have any more questions, let me know right now, or let me know later. We're here for you. We are working for you. And just as I'm getting ready to say goodbye, we have more viewers than we've ever had all week. Oh, Dora's sending us crashing waves. I love that. That'll be Monday, because we can't interfere with the Janna Marie show. I will be here as, not a bot, but I will be here as a moderator for chitting and chatting during Janna's show. Ellie says thank you so much. That means so much. Glad we have platforms like Twitch to connect. Isn't that true? Twitch is an amazing thing. And there's YouTube and there's Facebook, but they're not all equal and they all have different benefits. So right now we're on Twitch. I don't know. I guess Vimeo. Vimeo is our main video place where we store all of our videos. Just because, you know, YouTube, Google, we're very deep into that ecosystem with email and Drive and calendars. So we thought, let's not put every single egg we have in that basket. So we went to Vimeo when we first started 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And they've done very well for us. And they offer live streaming too. So the future of us is this live stream. And we wish it could be two-way, you know, like Zoom does it, but it doesn't seem to work very well, at least on Twitch. But that's okay. Technology is always changing, always moving forward, always becoming something other than what it was. And having a lively chat channel is very important, because that's where the real conversation begins and ends. In the interaction between people, sharing thoughts and ideas, and testing them against each other, and wondering where they will land and how hard or successful they will become. So for now, I will see you here again Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. I welcome your participation. Ask a question. Tomorrow and Sunday, 100% Janna Marie. Until next time, I will see you. Take care. Be well. Be in touch. Let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.